Imagine this: the last breath escapes from your lips, your eyes close to this world, and suddenly, your soul emerges before Jesus, judged in fractions of a second that seal your eternal destiny forever. What really happens to the soul upon death? This question has haunted humanity for centuries, and Saint Bridget, the visionary mystic of the 14th century, received direct revelations from Christ about this particular judgment after death-sweeping visions, full of celestial drama that go beyond the sacred scriptures, revealing the tense and precarious balance between mortal sins and the infinite divine mercy, and the transformative impact of sincere confession that can change everything. As detectives of the supernatural, we'll dive together into these hidden mysteries, layer by layer, unraveling secrets that the Bible mentions only in general terms. Prepare your heart and mind. What comes next may not only illuminate your own eternity, but offer real hope in salvation, practical keys to escape hell, and a vision that awakens deep peace. But wait, before we plunge into the core, let's trace the path. Who was this extraordinary saint who captured divine secrets directly from Jesus? Born in 1303 in icy Sweden, Bridget lived a rich life as a devout noblewoman, dedicated wife, and mother of 8 children, including her own Saint Catherine of Sweden, who followed in her spiritual footsteps. Canonized by the Catholic Church in 1391, she became the patroness of Europe, a beacon of faith in turbulent times. Her visions, meticulously compiled in the book Celestial Revelations, underwent rigorous scrutiny by the Church, with profound theological examinations that confirmed their total fidelity to Orthodox Catholic doctrine. They do not replace the Bible in any way. Think of the chapter in Matthew 25, with its final judgment described in broad and symbolic terms, but serve to deepen and enrich the mystery of the particular judgment, that solitary and immediate instant after death, where the soul faces God, without any human defenses or earthly intermediaries. This weaves a fascinating bridge between traditional Catholic doctrine and vivid mystical experiences, opening portals to deep debates about what happens to the soul upon death, and how to prepare for that inevitable encounter. Pause for a moment and breathe deeply. What if your own soul were in that celestial arena right now, under the piercing gaze of divinity? Hold your breath, because the central revelation is coming, ready to shake your convictions. Christ showed Bridget the particular judgment as an imposing celestial scale, oscillating with divine and infallible precision, like in an eternal tribunal where nothing escapes. On one side, good works accumulate luminous weight, generous charities, virtues cultivated throughout life, acts of love that elevate the soul to the heights. On the other, unconfessed mortal sins drag downward, tilting the scale toward the dark and inescapable abyss. Visualize the scene vividly. A single grave sin, like adultery hidden in the shadows of the heart or persistent envy that corrodes from within, can eclipse decades of good intentions and efforts if not properly repented and confronted. Bridget saw souls trembling in this fragile and tense balance, while God probes not only the visible external acts, but the deepest hidden intentions, the forgotten omissions that weigh like lead. All of this perfectly echoing the Catholic Catechism on the immediate post-death judgment, a moment of absolute truth. Shocking, isn't it? This vision reveals how fragile and vulnerable our salvation is without constant and daily vigilance, a reminder that every choice matters. But what if a forgotten error, a mortal sin buried in the past, sealed everything forever? Hold on tight. The next vision turns the game completely, flooding the darkness with a mercy that rescues from the deepest precipice. Yes, there is a brilliant light on the horizon in these revelations of Jesus to Bridget, a hope that balances the reverent fear of judgment with the immense and inexhaustible divine mercy. Jesus revealed that, even with the scale dangerously tilted by the crushing weight of sins accumulated over a lifetime, a genuine and sincere repentance on the deathbed, or through regular sacramental confession, can invoke the transformative saving grace, rescuing the soul from the edge of the eternal abyss. In a shocking and moving vision, Bridget witnessed a repentant soul being enveloped in a radiant and welcoming light, where Christ, acting as a compassionate and loving judge, forgives and elevates instantly, highlighting that divine mercy triumphs gloriously over rigorous justice when there is true contrition from the depths of the heart. This resonates harmoniously with the profound teachings of Saint Thomas Aquinas in the Summa Theologica, where divine grace is emphasized as something that overrides and transcends limited human merits, adding rich theological depth to the mystical and visionary account. Imagine this happening to you personally, an instant and miraculous turn toward salvation, where the weight of the past dissolves into light. Can a chronic sinner, mired in bad habits, still escape hell and embrace heaven? Reflect for a moment. How could authentic repentance drastically alter your own particular judgment after death, changing the course of eternity? Now, let's unravel the specific and concrete dangers that desperately cry out for this redemptive divine mercy, diving into another fascinating layer of Bridget's visions that Jesus granted with urgency. He warned vividly about mortal sins, those grave and deliberate ones that cut off divine grace like a sharp blade, such as sexual impurity that corrupts the soul's purity, excessive pride that elevates the ego above God, unchecked avarice that devours generosity, or destructive anger that ignites relationships which, in the Revelations, appear as devouring and merciless flames burning the soul in the particular judgment, irrevocably tilting the scale toward eternal condemnation if not confronted and extinguished in time. Bridget described souls tormented by these persistent vices, where an unconfessed adultery or chronic envy becomes the decisive and fatal weight for the eternal destiny, perfectly aligned with Catholic doctrine that defines mortal sins as deliberate acts against God, with grave matter, full knowledge, and free and conscious consent. Therefore, hope persists and shines brightly. Sacramental confession emerges as a powerful and immediate antidote, capable of extinguishing these voracious flames and restoring divine grace in an instant, as seen in visions where penitent souls are purified in a miraculous and liberating way. To enrich even further, let's evoke a transformative emotion with a practical example from the Revelations. In a dramatic vision, a soul rescued by confession cries out, "Mercy," with a trembling voice, echoing the transcendent power of Saint Bridget's 15 prayers, which promise special graces for deep and continuous repentance. Try them for a whole week and feel the palpable spiritual difference. What mortal sin lurks in the shadows of your own scale, waiting to be confronted? To deepen this rich tapestry, let's compare with other luminaries of the Catholic faith, adding theological layers that illuminate without deviating from the central focus. Saint Thomas Aquinas, the angelic doctor of the 13th century, describes the particular judgment in a more intellectual and systematic way in his Summa Theologica, painting it as an immediate and revealing examination of conscience by pure divine light, where the soul perceives its guilt or merit instantly, emphasizing God's immutable and eternal justice. In stark contrast, Bridget's visions are vividly emotional and narrative, with images of scales trembling under invisible weights and flames roaring in fury, humanizing the abstract process and making it accessible for personal and daily meditation, a difference that highlights how mystics and scholastic theologians complement each other harmoniously in the millennial Catholic tradition, both urging sincere repentance as the path to salvation. This comparative perspective not only diversifies views on mortal sins, confession, and divine mercy, but paves the way for concrete actions that change lives in a practical and immediate way. Now let's transform all this comparative knowledge into concrete and tangible actions, applying Bridget's revelations directly to your daily spiritual routine for real impact. Start with regular and consistent confessions, perhaps monthly or more frequent, cleansing mortal sins like impurity or stubborn pride, tilting your personal scale toward abundant divine mercy, a practice that echoes both Bridget's emotional and vivid visions and Aquinas's rigorous and philosophical logic. Next, integrate Saint Bridget's 15 prayers, intensely focused on Christ's suffered passion, praying them daily for a week or more. Many faithful report a deep and renewing inner peace, greater resistance to everyday temptations, converting initial fear into an eternal and unshakable hope. In apologetic debates or Bible study groups, use these revelations from Jesus as a solid foundation for inflamed and enriching discussions. Contrast Bridget with Aquinas in online or in-person sessions, exploring nuances of faith. Join vibrant Catholic communities, share personal experiences, and grow collectively. This is not mere abstract theory. It's a powerful tool for authentic and lasting spiritual growth, preparing your soul against the traps of hell and guiding it toward glorious heaven. How does this revitalize your own journey of faith and personal apologetics? With these practical and inspiring keys in hand, let's conclude this spiritual odyssey in Jesus, Revelations to Saint Bridget, synthesizing the deep secrets of the particular judgment after death. A justified and salutary fear of mortal sins that weigh like anchors, but a radiant and unshakable hope in divine mercy, activated by sincere and repentant confession. Shocking and transformative visions that deepen the Bible without ever replacing it, resonating with luminaries like Aquinas, serving as guiding beacons for eternal salvation in a world full of distractions. They are not ancient and dusty legends. They are urgent and living invitations to confront sins like impurity or arrogant pride, ensuring a robust and resilient faith, enriched debates in Bible study groups, and the absolute certainty that your soul can be prepared right now, avoiding eternal hell and embracing glorious heaven. The benefits unfold: peace that transcends, deeper spiritual connections, a life aligned with the divine. Act now without delay. Subscribe to the channel for more mysteries of faith and Catholic revelations. Share this video to spread spiritual debates that illuminate souls. Reflect for a final and introspective moment. Is your soul truly ready for what happens upon death, for this particular judgment that defines everything? May this vision awaken in you an eternal and profound renewal. Thank you for diving with us into this mystical journey, and may God abundantly bless your search for truth.